It is my great pleasure to have here in the studio with me, live, the young piano whiz, Dimitris Sgouros, a great favorite of Dallas-Fort Worth area audiences. In fact, I've heard you play twice, both in recital and with the Dallas Symphony last year, for which you received rave reviews. Since then, I understand you've performed in New York. You've been on an Australian tour, for which I noticed you also received excellent reviews. And despite the fact that he was stuck in Kennedy Airport for 24 hours.
Yes, that's true. Actually, it was one of the worst experiences I had ever in my life, but now I'm very well.
The show must go
concert.
on. Right, the show must go on, and here he is, smiling, full of energy. You never know
especially, I would like to say that I'm really so happy that I'm back in Dallas, in this wonderful city, this wonderful public, that I forget, let's say, the jet lag and the tiredness I've had until now, and I feel really fresh and really happy. I'm in one of my favorite cities of the world.
Well, thank you very much. Where else have you performed? I noticed you've been in. I saw your reviews in Australia. Fabulous. New York. Fabulous.
Well, yes. From September, end of September, I've started touring all over Europe, and actually, I have to say that I had a lot of tours. We closed with Yevgeny Svetlanov and the famous USSR State Symphony Orchestra of Moscow, the Athens Festival, with Rachmaninoff's second concerto and C minor concerto, and then I started a big tour with chamber music and Sharon Quartet in West Germany, in Berlin Philharmonic Hall, in Munich, in Frankfurt, in Munich Philharmonie, in Frankfurt, in Alte Oper, in Philharmonie in Cologne, all over Germany. Then I went to other countries like Italy, to Rome and Messina, and Napoli, Palermo, to Spain, to Austria, in Graz and in Vienna. And then at the very end, I had my second big tour in East Germany, with including performances with the Gewandhaus Orchestra in Leipzig and in East Berlin. And now my first concert for the new year will be here in Dallas, Texas.
That's wonderful. You were here last year with the symphony, and you did the Rachmaninoff Third, I believe. Is that?
No, it was the Tchaikovsky First.
Tchaikovsky
with the
first,
symphony,
right.
And in Fort Worth with the Prokofiev Third.
Prokofiev Third, that's what it was. We have a recording of your Rachmaninoff Third. Let's hear just a few seconds of that to get an idea of your fantastic style. This is a recording you made in 1984 with the Berlin Philharmonic, conducted by Yuri Simonov. A little bit of Rachmaninoff Third from the third movement. Just a little taste there of the great piano style of Dimitris Sgouros, who is going to be performing tomorrow night at 8:15 at the Majestic in a solo recital, courtesy of the Dallas Civic Music Association. Well, you're now 19 years old.
Yes.
I won't be able to call you a teenage genius much longer. Do you feel you're maturing both as a young man and pianistically?
Yes, I think that I was already in a way mature from when I was 12 and 13 years old, because in many ways I play the same way I used to play in this age. Of course, I also think, and public says that I became better, and I'm trying to be better in each concert, because always I want to give my best in each performance and to make the public pleased, and I think they get pleased and I get pleased when I play well. And of course, I don't feel how old I am or how old I am not. The only thing I feel about is music, which is my whole life, and I'm trying to be better and better every single minute, not even every single hour. And that's what I'm trying to do.
You mentioned being pleased. You told me you were very pleased with your recent second Australian tour. What was that like?
Oh, yes. This is something very exciting for me. Already I'll have my second Australian, New Zealand, and Far East tour. I say Far East, I've been many times already to Japan. I've given more than 30 performances already in Japan and this area, in Korea. But now I'll go back to Australia and New Zealand, back to all the big cities.
This is coming
and
up.
And also,
upcoming,
yes, this is coming up at the end of this month, and we'll finish at the end of March with concert performances with all Australia's biggest orchestras and recitals in the most important concert halls. And this big tour will be combined with performances in Singapore, in Bangkok, in Hong Kong, in Taipei, and some countries there in the Far East. And I'm really happy about that, because I'll combine vacation with this tour, because it will be summer there, and I'll have the opportunity to see more of the country, which I didn't really do in 1987 when I had my first tour, and I'll be able to enjoy a lot of things due to the fact the weather will be so wonderful.
Well, how are audiences different in Australia than, say, in Texas? Do you find?
Yes, here is a very warm audience. In Australia is also a very warm audience. I think that all audience is the same. If you play well, they accept it. If you play bad, they don't accept it. And it depends on you, not on the audience. All audience of the world, I think, is the same. And thank God, until now, I never had a problem with an audience. I only had the feeling that the audience is always strict and always expect from the artist to give everything. If you don't give everything, then the audience is, is different. If you give everything, then in every place of the world, you get the same applause from different audiences.
I was, the last time you were here, you spoke to the Dallas Symphony Orchestra Guild, which I'm a member of, and someone asked you, Dimitris, what do you do for fun? And you said you solve algebra problems. Now that you're a man of 19, do you have any new sources of recreation?
Well, I also like mathematics because I'm at the university in Greece studying mathematics, of course not as a job. This is a hobby. Because let me explain you about the Greek situation at the universities. You don't have the obligation to attend the classes every day. You can even go 10 times or 15 times by year. The only thing you have to do and you're obliged to do is to give the exams just to pass at the end of the year from one year to the other. And also something which was for me nice and exciting was that since a year almost now that I have received my driving license, because in Europe you have to be 18 and I bought a sport car.
What did you buy?
This is another interest I've got. Languages, learning languages. That now I speak 4 languages, and with my own languages there are 5.
Any chance the music world may lose you to the mathematics world someday, or do you
no,
think?
No, of course not, because mathematics is like a hobby for me. I just like it for general education. Due to the fact I had facilities there, I had chosen this field, but just to get a general education, only when I'm in my country and if I have time, because the 2/3 of my life I spend it traveling. So the 1/3 that I spend in my country, I divide it from going to the university, but there are some days I prefer to stay home and relax, or, read or go for a walk, due to the fact that I don't have in my country the concerts and the pressure that I have when I'm traveling.
Well, do you want to continue concertizing, or would you like to conduct or something outside of music?
For this moment, I'm really in love with what I'm doing, and I hope that for at least the next 20 or 30 years, I'll be in love with what I'm doing. That does not mean that I want, possibly one day to become a conductor. This is always in mind. Something which really would interest me is especially to become an opera conductor.
I know we were talking about Maria Callas. You were looking through our Maria Callas records. You're a great opera fan, especially of
hers.
And
yes, I'm an opera fan. I would really love one day to become an opera conductor. Of course, nothing is on schedule in this moment because, as I told you, I repeat, I'm really in love with what I'm doing. And all the pieces I play, I really like to play. So I don't think for being a conductor. But possibly in the future, I will like to conduct one day opera or a symphony or something. This is something which I wouldn't say no.
I remember I asked you one time whether you'd ever strayed from the romantic repertory, whether you were interested in more modern works for the piano, and you said you didn't really like them too much.
It depends. It depends until when. If they're modern composers until the middle of 20th century, let's say until 1950 or 1955, of course I play them with pleasure. Like Prokofiev, Rachmaninoff, Stravinsky, Ravel, Bartok.
Will we ever hear Sgouros performing Philip Glass or John Adams or Steve Reich?
This is something which until now I tried to play George Crumb when I used to study at the Maryland University in Washington, D.C. before I did my degree at the end. And it was a pleasure performing also, George Crumb's music. Although I find this music more an experimental music and not real music with heart, soul, brain, and mind. And for me, music is music. That's what I had said last time, and it hasn't changed. Of course, it's not only the romantic and modern, half modern of repertoire that I really like, but I also like the very good things of the classical repertoire from Scarlatti and Bach to Mozart and Beethoven.
Since you were last, the movie Madame Suzette with Shirley MacLaine has been a big success. Did you see it by any chance?
I didn't have any.
No? You ought to see it. I was hoping you'd seen it because I really noticed. Are you familiar with it at all?
No.
This movie, it's about a young boy who's trained to be a pianist. In fact, they had a shot
I'm so sorry. I'd love to see it, but I didn't have the chance.
Oh, well, you'll have to go see it. He's a child prodigy, and with the help of his mother, and he has it's all about the relationship between him and his teacher. And in fact, I noticed there was a poster of you in the movie.
Yes.
There has a shot of him going to a talent agent, and
was this an American movie or?
Yes. With Shirley MacLaine, the actress who won the Academy Award. You've definitely got to go see it because it reminded me of you. Let's talk a little bit about your program tomorrow night at the Majestic. You've chosen music of Busoni, Chopin, Liszt, Robert Schumann.
And here I would like to say that it's quite a rare program, first of all, because this Busoni piece has never been heard before in this area. It's a Concertwalzer Opus 33A from the fourth scene of ballet. That's how he called the piece. Then, because of the extremely difficult piece of Rachmaninoff's The Don Juan, which is the Don Juan Grand Fantasy of Liszt, based on Mozart's famous part of Don Giovanni, which they only exist, I think, 1 or 2 recordings internationally, and according to many musicians, this is possibly the hardest, technically the hardest piece ever written for the piano. And of course, with some other favorite pieces that I am going to play, like the Chopin Andantes Pianotte and Grand Polonaise, which is a piece that I really love to perform, and one old piece that I play since I was 10 years old, the Schumann Symphonic Studies, but I still like to play this piece, and I like to play it with the same, let's say, I'm not fed up with this piece. I like it even more when I play it, although I play it from the age of 10.
Different interpretations, a different feeling every time you play it.
Yes, of course, and that happens to every piece. Even if you've played a piece 100 times, let's say, each time is a different time, because you create, because you give, and you're trying to give all the time something new when you're in front of a public. So you have the feeling even that you perform something for the first time, even if you have performed it so often.
Shortly before he died, the great Arthur Rubinstein, who was himself a child prodigy, said you were a better pianist than himself. Do you ever get tired of all the references to you as a great genius?
I let the people say what they say. The only thing I know about me is that I'm a serious artist who tries to give its best every night, and its best for itself too. Now, we have to let the people say what they say, and we, the artists, have our own opinion about that. Of course, I never thought about those words, because if somebody thinks on those words, then they cannot develop themselves, and then they cannot go on. And the only thing I had in mind, I have and I will have, is to give everything for the art, even to sacrifice myself for the art. Even this, I know it will cost me, and it has costed me. I'll give, and I like to give everything for what I'm doing.
You don't think you're going to wake up one day and say, boy, I wish I'd gone to more soccer games or rock concerts and been a child and been a teenager?
Due to the fact that I never had in my life technical problems, and, you know, I was never in front of the piano from the morning to the night. I still have a lot of time to enjoy myself, although there are a lot of people who doesn't believe that, but it's true. I have to admit, and I'm saying that for the whole public, that I missed nothing from my childhood. I had the chance and the time to play games like other children, and I still do. I still like, and I still like to pass my time with the same enjoyment and the same things, doing the same things as all the other people do. So I never lose it.
Have a girlfriend?
Oh, yes, I do. But unfortunately, I'm not all the time there. And I have to admit that it's not a permanent one. And from time to time, I have a different one in different places. But
why not? Enjoy
I'm
it.
happy with the type of life that I've chosen to do.
That's great. Why don't we let you... We've got a recording of you with one of the pieces you're going to be playing tomorrow night at 8:15 again at the Majestic Theater, Dimitris Sgouros. Why don't we let you introduce this? This is the Robert Schumann Symphonic Etudes, Opus 13, that you said is something you've played since you were very young, but enjoy nevertheless. Would you like to introduce it?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you again for being our guest.
Thanks very much.
Dimitris Sgouros, Dallas Civic Music again is bringing him to town, and he will be performing tomorrow night at 8:15 in a solo recital. It's been a great pleasure. Thank you so
very much. Thank you.
And would you like to tell us a little bit about the Schumann? And we'll play the Schumann right now.
Yes, it is one of the most difficult, actually one of the 2 or 3 most difficult and mature pieces of Robert Schumann that he wrote a few years before he died. It's not one of the very early works that he wrote. And that on this recording they will be, they are also heard something which is heard rarely, the variations opus posthume, which were discovered after Schumann's death. And until a few years ago they were not so famous. They belong to a separate set, as a separate book, which is called the Posthume Variations. But then we had discovered that Schumann had put them inside of the Symphonic Etudes. So you don't have to play first the Symphonic Etudes and then after the finale to perform the Posthume Variations, but you have to put them in between, in the place that Schumann had written and wanted. And this was discovered after his death. So I was really happy to record the whole the whole book of this piece.
Here is Dimitris Sgouros performing Schumann's Symphonic Etudes Opus 13 with 2 posthumously published variations. And again, thank you for being our guest here on the Going Home program.